Welcome back. I am your host. This is 101 Sports Talk. I am Yano from Chicago. Thank you again. All right. So, by popular demand, we've been having some people actually reach out to the show personally. And I want to introduce one of my ideas to you guys. And that's, I really want this to be for us all, for the fans, for sports enthusiasts, casual fan, the diehard fan. I want it to be for everybody, for us, made by us. You know what I mean? So it's not just for me. But with that being said, I've had a few people reach out to me with some sports related questions or topics that they wanted, to hear my opinion on or hear us discuss as a community here that we're building. So what I want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and play the first kind of voicemail that was left. This comes from BC out of the GA, out of the ATL. One of my dear close friends, my cousin, love him to death. Here's his question here, and then we'll get to it and we'll get a response.
Hey Mariano, loving the show. Just had a question. Who do you think will be the number one quarterback drafted? Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward?
All right, so that's kind of that's a tough one there, BC. You put me on the spot there, brother. All right, who do I think should be the number one quarterback drafted or taken? All right, in my opinion, I'm gonna just start out answering this flat out. Shedeur Sanders should be the number one quarterback in my opinion. That's just my opinion, and I'm going off talent. I'm going off the eye test. I'm going off what I see, history, stats, what that tells me. You feel me? Now, we all are just, fans of this. We're not making a decision. We're not pulling any triggers here as the positions that we're in. We're just talking and communicating about it. But what I can say from what I'm seeing in the reports and what's coming out, as we know, with Shedeur being Deion's boy, his son, he said already that he's going to have an influence in who drafts him, where he goes. He said it on multiple occasions live on TV. So we can't be surprised if he pulls a Eli Manning and say, nah, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to the Giants. We can't be surprised. You know what I'm saying? He also said he'd do that for Travis Hunter too. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I don't know about Shiloh. He ain't saying nothing about Shiloh. I just see that him mention Shiloh and being involved in that. But I imagine the man that Deion is, I imagine he's still gonna be involved in Shiloh's process as well through this draft season. But with that being said, Deion still has ties to the NFL. He's kind of linked with Tom Brady and the Raiders. It just came out this past weekend or last week that the Raiders are going to have TB12 involved in, this process of rebuilding things and drafting, they first pick. And definitely if it's a quarterback, they said he'll be involved. So if the Raiders get the first pick, I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders take Shedeur. Not one bit. I wouldn't be like, oh man, he went number one. No, not at all. Now this draft class, as far as quarterbacks, isn't the strongest. But I would say Shedeur is kind of head and shoulders above the other people in his class, and that's no knock to anyone else, because you do have people like Cam Ward. He has a very, very high ceiling. Like, his potential is really good. And what I didn't even know about him, what I found out about Cam Ward, he started out at a lower tier school in San Antonio, Texas. Then he transferred to Washington State, and he just kept steadily getting better and better. And then he transferred to Miami and, put together the season that he just did, where I think, as far as, like I said, it really this depends upon who gets the number one pick, who gets two, where people are slotted. You know what I mean? We still have a couple more games to decide, that draft order. So that's going to be the major factor is who gets one, who gets two. And then it's really about, preference. Do you like vanilla ice cream with sprinkles? Or you're a Neapolitan type of person? What type of quarterback do you want at that point? But I will say Shedeur has way more polish to his game, and Cam Ward just has a few more physical traits or tools that you can't teach. You can't give to someone. He's a little bit more physical. He has a little bit more stronger arm. He can throw it a little bit further. You know what I mean? And you can tell by, his stats last year, Cam Ward is not afraid to push it down the field or attack a defense vertically. He threw for over 4,000 yards. He had 7 picks, 36 TDs, 67% completion rate. So, he's accurate and he's not afraid. So he could fit in with the Giants. I can see that. Now, if I'm Dion, do I want Shedeur going to the Raiders and they don't really have that many weapons outside of the legendary Brock Bowers? You feel me? Like, and then if you ain't hip on him, you can go check out Brock Bowers. He a different animal. But with that being said, I would for sure think that number one pick is gonna be a quarterback. It just depends on who gets the pick. If it's the Giants, is it the Raiders? We know the Patriots are sitting at 3. They're not gonna take a quarterback. They got Drake May, Drizzy Drake, out there making plays. So they got Drake May last year. So I don't think they're gonna need a quarterback. Jacksonville right now is at 4. They still kind of trying to see what they got with Trevor Lawrence. I don't see them taking no quarterback. And then you got the Panthers that may be at 5. So a lot will have to change in between now and then. And the Panthers GM just came out and said they kind of backing Bryce Young. His spot's safe for next year. They ain't gonna take no quarterback. So, but that being said, it's a two-man race or 2-team race with one quarterback at the top, and then the other team just gotta, take the second best option at that point, the best player available. So I hope that answers your question, BC. But we'll touch more on those prospects a little bit later. I know that I'm your guy who you go to when you talk prospects or players coming out. So, great question, man. I appreciate your support. Appreciate your support and reaching out with that question. Man, that was a great question, though, BC. I appreciate that one. Just kind of moving on to the next one here. Coming from another special friend, dear friend of mine. Call him Keys, out of St. Louis. One of my homeboys, one of my other sports fanatics out there. Me and him, we go back for a while, man. But here's his question. Here, we're gonna listen to it together and see what he got.
What's going on, Mariano? I got a question for you. I'm sitting here watching my Raiders get their heads kicked in by the Falcons, and I'm sure you're watching your Bears experience the same turmoil at the hands of the Vikings. But I wanted to ask, do you think that Sam Darnold should be in the MVP conversation ahead of Jared Goff? Because right now I know Saquon, I know it's Josh Allen. Some people still got Lamar in there. Some people even have Mahomes in there, which I disagree with. But a name that keeps coming up is Jared Goff. And I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the team results. I'm looking at the quality of play, what each player is being asked to do. And I don't know if Jared Goff should be in a conversation ahead of Sam Darnold. What do you think?
Hey, shout out to Keys, man. That's a great question right there for sure. I wasn't expecting that, but not Sam Darnold. Not Sam the man. Sam I am. But shout out to him, man. Even though I'm a Bears fan, like you said, now, and yeah, I was at the time. I guess when you was recording this, I was watching the Bears at the same time, bro. So, yes, and it was embarrassing, and I will get to that later, man. I am embarrassed as a Bears fan right now. We're on an 8-game losing streak. They haven't recouped since the loss to Washington. They've been a defeated ball club ever since, man. So it's been a very depressing season out here in the Bears fan club in our world. It's very depressing. Every Monday is a terrible Monday. They played Monday, so today isn't the best Tuesday, but it's all good, man. We gonna keep it going, man. But that was a great question. But do I think Sam Darnold should be in more consideration for the MVP than Jared Goff? Now, with no numbers up here in front of me, just off of just watching both teams, being in the same conference as me, or as a Chicago Bears fan, following the both of them, I would say this: Jared Goff has been underrated for a while as a quarterback, and he probably doesn't or hasn't been given as much his just due. He's been productive pretty much ever since after his rookie year with the Rams. He was traded to Detroit a couple years ago, and since he's been their quarterback, you got to think about it. They've been playoff contenders from day one. I've watched them a couple games, like obliterate teams, like blow them off the map, putting up 50 points. I think they're probably still the only team to put up more than 50 points twice this season. And with that being said, that's no small feat in the NFL to put up 50 points. But I believe currently they are still sitting at only 2 losses, sitting at number 1 in the NFC. With the Vikings win over the Bears yesterday, they're number 2 in the conference, which are 2 juggernauts that are going to, have some type of clash here soon, whether it's, in the division, one more game if they have another one, but they definitely going to meet down the road in the playoffs if they both keep up at this rate. But I would say, in my opinion, if it's harder to replace Jared Goff in Detroit than it is to replace Sam Darnold in Minnesota. I think Jared Goff is more of the system in Minnesota, in Detroit. Not to take anything away from all the amazing other players and athletes he has, on his team, but he has, Sam Laporta, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and other supporting cast, Penei Sewell on the O-line. They got a beast O-line. I know David Montgomery just went down for the season, but to my point is a lot of those guys on their team, it's like are the sum, are the parts greater than the sum, So, but I think that if you took Jared Goff out of Detroit and put another quarterback in, they may not be the same team. You take Sam Darnold out and put him in another environment, which he's played on other teams before and wasn't as successful. So is it the system that's creating the production that he's seeing, which, Kirk Cousins was in that same system in offense the years prior, and you see how productive he was. So from a standpoint, without looking at stats alone, eye test, watching them both, I know that Jared Goff has more of an impact on their franchise and them winning, and he's productive. I mean, he's put up crazy numbers. He done had games where he done threw 5 touchdowns and lost, and 5 interceptions and won. But the thing of it is, they only have like 2 losses on their record, and and still finding ways to manage to win games, even with injuries. Like Aiden Hutchinson went down, they're still winning games. They losing linebacker here, they losing corner go down here, and they're still finding ways to win. I'm not saying to credit that all to Jared Goff, but as the quarterback, a lot of that stuff falls back on you as to still pulling through, facing adversity as a team, as a leader, and as a quarterback. You're expected to rise to the occasion. Like, that's a part of the job. That's what you signed up for. That's why they paid them the big bucks, the big cojones. They pay you all of that money. Just give me my money. They give you all of that because of the fact that it's a lot of responsibility that goes into that role. And with that being said, man, yeah, I think I would go with Jared Goff over Sam Darnold, just because of the player impact. If we ain't going off raw numbers and stats, I'm giving it to Goff. But that's an awesome question, man. Thank you. Shout out to Keys for calling and leaving that question for us, man. So I appreciate you. Much love, bro. Anytime you got any more, definitely shoot them my way for sure. We'll get those on the show. Man, that threw me too. I was not expecting that question there. But we got one more for the day that we're going to get into. So this one is coming from one of my close friends. I mean, I known this dude, man, since I was a shorty, you feel me? Like, since we was little. But he's a Chicago sports fan, just like I am, die hard. So let's get into one of his questions and see what he got for us.
Yeah, no, man, shit reporting live from, Chicago, man, with, one of, I'm pretty sure going through a lot of Chicago sports fans' minds, man, but it's like, the Bulls, the Bears, the Blackhawks, the White Sox, the Cubs, man, we all in the funk, man, we all in the rebuilding stage, man, we all in a, it's a pretty depressing time to be a Chicago sports fan, man. Like, for real, man. But so who you think, man? Like, who you got the most confidence in, man? Who you think gonna be able to, dig out the hole the quickest, man? Like, what's your opinion on it, man? And who you think, the farthest away? Which is, sad to say for a lot of us, man. But give me some optimism. Man. Give me who can I put my faith in, man?
All right, man. Hey, shout out to Dan, man. I appreciate it. That's a tough one right there. Okay, yeah, it is a depressing day and age and being a sports fan here in Chicago. It's like we got the Sky, we got the White Sox had a historically bad season. The Bears are who they are and not who we thought they were. Shout out to Diddy Green. You got the Bulls in a kind of purgatory state. The Cubs, the Blackhawks are rebuilding again. Yeah, it's tough around the city, bro. It's tough. To answer your question, though, I'm thinking about it. Who probably has the best opportunity to bounce back the quickest? If you put me on the spot right now, without doing my homework, doing my research, I would probably say right now, and it's crazy to say this right now and the way things are, I think the team, if you're a sports fan in Chicago, the team that's probably most likely and probable to turn things around the soonest, believe it or not, it'll probably be the Chicago Bears. I'll tell you why I say that first, and then I'll explain. Let's go around the other teams. Chicago Sky, for one, they need a new coach. They are going to need to upgrade on their wing. They need a couple more players that can actually score the ball to be competitive. And that's no knock or disrespect to none of their players on their team right now. They play hard, and I tweeted about that a lot this past season, that them girls play hard. It's unfortunate that they lost a few games or lost a lot of games of theirs, but they play hard, and I respect them. the Chicago Sky. So shout out to everybody on their team, their staff. They did a good job. They fought hard and it was respectable. And that's all we like and love here as Chicago fans, diehard fans. We just love a team that's gonna fight. You know what I mean? That's all we look for and ask for, bro. We're not saying, hey, we need you to be the number one seed every year, this and that. We want to have a team that we not no punks. You're not finna come in here and roll us over. You know what I mean? You're not finna come in here and just bounce us up out our own house. You know what I mean? And just beat us on our home field, our home court, our home ice. None of that. You know what I mean? That's the type of energy and vibe all Chicago teams, organizations need to get together, like for real, to make a change. That's the attitude, and that's why a lot of old players love our city and love playing for us because our fans are so passionate, because they can feel that when we come out to the games and we support, they can feel that energy. People that spent their hard-earned money and work to come to this event. And like, for example, Taj Gibson just came back to play against the Bulls a few nights ago, and maybe I'll drop the little the post game interview that they had with him. But he was just saying, like, man, the fans they love players that don't care about the name on the back. They care about the name on the front. Just represent this city hard to the fullest. That's all we looking for, bro. We're not looking for, like I said, division banners every year in and year out in all of our sports. No, we just want to be able to compete. We want to be competitive. We want to be proud of our team, whether you a football fan, you a basketball fan, you a baseball fan, you like hockey. We want to be able to be like, yeah, I'm a Blackhawks fan. Yup. Or wear your hat or your cap or your jersey with pride. But, the way that the organizations run some of these teams, man, it's like they don't watch the same games that we watch. Not to say that the business side of things isn't hard to work and navigate contracts and build good teams, but it's like some of these owners sit back with a blind eye. They could sit being watching the same game as you from the press box. They live watching the game and don't understand what's wrong or what's missing. But going around a couple more teams, man. The White Sox are what they are. The Cubs are what they are. They've made a couple little trades here. We'll see, what they end up eventually doing. I'm not the one to hop on the baseball trades until they actually get on the diamond. That's just my opinion. So I'll kind of believe it when I see it on the chemistry and how the Sox, some of their changes. It's been so bad with them that I stopped following them last year, like midway through the season. So I don't even know what they did this offseason. I was so embarrassed. Like, I don't even want to go back until I see them play again. I'm at that point with the White Sox. And me being from, like, coming up from the south side of Chicago, being raised, that's the team that I always rooted for. And I don't even recognize this team anymore. So right now, they're not on the list as far as like who I think could turn it around. No offense to none of the players. It's an organization thing here. The Cubs, I feel like they're trying to turn it around. They're making some changes and adjustments because they're in a division where the Cardinals aren't dominating like they used to. So it's like they got to strike while the iron's hot. So they have to move their feet. Going to the Bulls. We still stuck on Zach LaVine and Vucevic, holding on to those contracts. They get rid of Caruso. They get Josh Giddey. And we don't get no draft capital from a team that literally has first-round picks from here until like 2031, 2032 first-round picks and got multiple. We didn't even get a first-round pick. Now, Giddey is cool. I'm not knocking Giddy at all. I love him as a player. As all players, they all have deficiencies or things they can work on, or limitations. But from playing the game, growing up, playing on multiple teams, playing with multiple players, playing on different levels, you got to understand what people's strengths are and what sometimes okay, some people's impact on the game you can't measure by the stat sheet, but that can be good or bad. So with Josh Giddey, I think it is an asset or a piece that they can build around. I like Modest. I don't know what's going on with Kobe White this year. I think he's lost a rhythm. He's a little bit too over aggressive, and I think he's trying a little bit too hard. He's forcing it to make it work with this team because he knows this is his opportunity to kind of be the face on this team moving forward. So I think that's a little issue. I love to see Zoe back healthy and playing. He's been playing amazing. For granted, missing 2 years, it looked like he ain't really missed a beat. He's looked like he lost a little step, but as far as being the same player, being aggressive, help defense and stuff like that, he's been doing his thing. Zach has been playing good. Vooch has been playing good, but we're still like below 500. So it's like even then they're like in purgatory because our future is literally in the hands of losing games right now if you're a Bulls fan. So kind of catch you up to speed on what I mean by that is they made a trade with San Antonio a few years back when they got DeMar DeRozan. In that trade, they gave them a first round pick with a protection on it. So how that works is it's top 10 protected, meaning if we essentially don't lose enough to be in the top 10, which is lottery, don't mean like the NFL, like, okay, you in the bottom, 10 teams, you're going to get a number one, top 10 pick. No, it goes off the lottery. So literally these balls go in this pen and they, just like literally the lotto, like you're about to hit the lotto, all of these balls are in there and you go off luck. So it's still not a fail-safe plan that even if you lose, that you keep your pick. So they're winning on a pace where they may barely win enough to get the play in, but keep their pick. And we still got players like Zach LaVine and Vooch on the roster. And so it's like, are they going to trade them? Knowing the Bulls, are they going to hold on to them? Because everybody knows that they want to trade them. It's been coming out. But are they going to actually do it and move forward is the question with the Bulls. So I can't put my faith in AK and Mark Eversley to make a decision and be firm and go ahead and finish the retooling and going younger. So I can't say that right now on the air. Because if I was a betting man, I'd say one of the two, maybe even both of them players will probably still be on the roster by the end of the year. And we will be still mediocre. And then what that means is we may stay competitive enough, make the play in, mess around and even make the playoffs this year. Because the East is so bad right now. And, with our luck, we'll lose that pick to San Antonio, get number 11 or something, and it'd be an awesome player in a deep draft. And we'll be screwed, because then we still be having some hefty contracts and older players on a roster filled with younger guys that need more playing time so that they can develop and we can just start fresh. Do like Orlando, do like Detroit. You got to kind of tear it down for it to build up. But you got to pull the plug at some point. You feel me? So like hanging on to Zach, hanging on to Vooch, man, you gotta let it go. You know what I mean? You can't get blessed if you got closed hands. So just let it go. Just let it go. And get rid of them for what you can to whatever teams are interested, is my opinion. And just to cut your loss so that you don't have a larger deficit if you continue to risk trying to compete or show that you guys can build a good team. It's over with. Just go ahead and do it now. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and say that that brings me back to the Bears because of the fact that you do finally have a quarterback. The offensive line may be terrible. The defense may be regressing. The coordinators may not know what field we're at, or what game we're at, or who we're playing, or who the opponent is, apparently, because the defense has been atrocious lately. And I've mentioned this to someone, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I had this conversation, and I want to bring this out and mention it because it doesn't get mentioned at all with a lot of the outlets that I resource, or I watch, or look up to, or look into. But nobody's talking about the impact of the loss of Jaquan Brisker to that secondary for the Bears. His impact in the run defense, his impact on actually communicating in the backfield, and not allowing as many explosive plays. I mean, before he got that concussion, man, he was balling, man. He was playing out of his mind. I think in the game he got hurt, he forced a fumble. He had a pick that same game. He had a pick that got called back. I don't know how many tackles he ended up with that game, but he hasn't been back ever since he got that concussion. I believe they put him on IR, so he probably won't be back this year. Him, the loss of Andrew Billings in the middle, they're very underrated as far as like how it's impacted that defense. You could tell, man, it's regressing. Like, it's like night and day difference. We went from, having a streak of not allowing more than 20 points for, I think it was like 21 games or something like that. And ever since that streak has been broke, some of them players have been injured. It's like they just, look lifeless on defense sometimes. We're not getting pressure. Running backs getting to the second level untouched, third level. People going, untouched down the field where they're not even being identified or recognized in blown coverages and stuff. So it's a lot going on in the Chicago Bears world as well. But the one thing I can say that I am excited about is the actual quarterback. For the longest we haven't even had anybody that could actually keep us in a game or get us into a game if we fell behind. And that's a defeating feeling in itself, knowing that, hey, man, if we get behind a touchdown or 10 points by the fourth quarter, it's over with. That's a defeating feeling, knowing that all we got to do is just pin our ears back and we can just rush the quarterback and he gonna throw us a pick, or he's gonna make some mistakes. Nah, Caleb got it, bro. He one of the ones, bro. You got to think how many times he's been sacked, how much pressure he's been underneath, and not only on the physical, like on the field, like actual pressures, like people rushing after him, but the pressure of like learning this offense, all of the stuff with the coordinators going in and out, losing coaches, losing players, losing offensive linemen in and out. There's a lot of stuff to kind of manage. Then you got like a star rookie receiver that you got to feed. You got a star line tight end and Cole Kmet. You got to make sure you keep happy too. DJ Moore is a top 10 probably receiver in the league that you got to feed. Then you got the OG veteran Keenan Allen that you got to make sure that you utilize him and depend on him as well. So it's a lot of things that he's having to build up right now or work on. And it's encouraging. And I think he actually came out and said that at the end of the game. He said it was frustrating and encouraging when they asked him, how his season or his struggles, which I can totally understand, because you go from, college being able to be the man doing what you want to do and impacting the game in so many different ways and hitting some of these easy throws, because you can easily manipulate coverages with, your feet, your legs, or just with your eyes. And, now you can't. because you're playing top tier talent every single week. So this is the best of the best of the best that you didn't probably ever played before. And so he's learning. He's had his bumps and bruises definitely along the way. But, even as through all of this turmoil, these, all of this adversity he's facing, the kid's been poised. He sounds like a leader of men. He doesn't never seem like he's not focused on winning or improving. And that seems like from day one where his mindset has been. And that's encouraging, bro. Once we get a good O-line, which they got a couple picks in the second round. We got a first round pick that's probably going to be top 10. They got like 80 plus million in cap space. We going to have an opportunity to bring in a new coach, set a new culture. So that's encouraging. I mean, it suck right now. I mean, this shit is terrible right at the moment. But to be honest, bro, looking around as a sports fan, even though it's depressing, I'm ready for the season to end so I can get to these mocks for y'all. Like, being honest, so I can give y'all these players and predictions and stuff like that. But to be honest, that's the most encouraging team, I would say. So I again appreciate you, bro, for your time and sending me that. Much love for the support for the show. But I am your host, wrapping up here. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Yano from Chicago. Peace.